Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Dr. Jeff C. May, and welcome to another episode of Doctor's Orders, advice you should actually take. And you want to be aware of this episode. You want to be aware of this episode because in this episode, I'm going to challenge you to change. I'm going to challenge the way of thinking that we've had since the day we were born. Pretty much, if you're listening to this and you were born and raised in the United States, anywhere from, 1960 on, so that's going to cover pretty much everybody listening, there has been an indoctrination that has taken place. There's literally been a hijacking of what's natural, what's normal, and what health really means. I will tell you that in this episode, we're going to set the tone, we're going to set the frame, we're going to set the definition for health that's going to radically change your life. If you're not willing to change, do not listen to this episode. Do not share it. Do not comment. Don't save it. It's not for lack of information that people get sick. People don't get sick, they do sick. And what I mean by that is that we were indoctrinated with a theology, with a understanding of that health is either you're lucky or unlucky. Like you think about this, the definition of what we have in health in terms of if I were to go and randomly select people off the street and say, hey, if I were to say, if you're healthy or not, what would you say, yes or no? A majority of people would want to say yes. Unless you're facing some serious lifestyle, tragic disease or those different aspects, most people will say, yeah, I'm healthy. And then I'll follow up that question with saying, well, how do you know? And most people's definition is that, well, I feel good. I woke up this morning. I'm able to eat. And they'll start listing off the things that do not necessarily quantify and or qualify a person to be healthy. And so then you start to dig into this and say, well, if I were to say, based on your definition of feeling good, you must be healthy. What would happen if I just dropped a bowling ball on your foot? Well, you would hurt. So does that mean you're unhealthy? No, it means some jackwad on the street just dropped a bowling ball on my foot. It doesn't mean you're not healthy. And yet, how many times do we know that people drop dead of heart attacks? Like somebody listening to this, because of the statistic that 5 out of 6 Americans are going to experience cancer or heart disease in their lifetime, somebody listening is going to know somebody that's dropped dead of a heart attack in their life. And as tragic as that is, in over 60% of the cases, the first sign of heart disease is actually a fatal heart attack. So if you can have a fatal heart attack, which that disease, it takes a while to build. It doesn't happen overnight. So in a lot of times it takes years to build up to the point where you have that first symptom of heart disease being a fatal heart attack. So let me ask you this question. Is it a good idea to gauge your health on how you feel? No, the answer is no. Now, do I think you being healthy, like a byproduct of you being healthy and living a healthy lifestyle, wink, wink, hint, hint, you should feel and function great most of the time? Yeah, but that doesn't mean that pain is going to be something that you never experience. You see, pain is part of the equation, and that's part of the problem is because we've been painted this picture from the time we're young that you must avoid pain at all costs. You just take a look around right now of all the things that pull us into comfort. We've created this corral of comfort in our lives. We've got controlled climate in our house, which I'm fortunate for. Like there's a lot of these things I'm grateful for. But we can stream any basically movie at any given time into our homes for our viewing pleasure at any point in the day. We've got comfortable furniture. We don't really have to move a whole lot. In fact, we don't really have to move out of our house at all. In case you don't want to, you can work from home. You can have Uber Eats, you can have Amazon Prime. You can pretty much get everything you need and never have to leave the house, never have to move your body across any distance. Think about this, like way back in the day, the pioneers, moving west in the covered wagons, like the amount of strength and durability and persistence and just flat out toughness it took to even get to where they were going. And a lot of them didn't. But yet they were able to pursue that because they lived a lifestyle where they were tough. And in today's world, we're not tough. Now, do I think we need to go back to covered wagons? No, hear me out. I'm saying that the train ride's going to end in a cataclysmic crash really soon unless we address the fact that we've just created a bunch of marshmallow generations where we get a cold, we get the sniffles, we get a little bit of fever, and we go running to the doctor and we try and medicate and dissipate and eliminate the symptoms. For lack of a better word, if we're sitting there, we say if we're symptom free, then we're healthy. And a lot of people live that way. They live that way day in, day out, and they've just created so much comfort around them that they become so susceptible that literally people are dying from the flu. 30,000 plus people die from the flu every year. Now, most of those are elderly and weakened immune systems and those things. But when you realize what a lot of the mass media and the marketing does when it comes down to healthcare, they will leverage those facts and they will amplify them and say, hey, you're in danger. Like, you should get your flu shot every year. Oh man, don't forget your booster. And literally we've been propagated and marketed to from these $1 billion a quarter companies. I'm talking about Pfizer. I'm talking about all these Bayer, like the pharmaceutical companies as a whole. They are a business. They don't care if you're healthy or not. In fact, they would rather have you comfortable, because when you're comfortable, you are able to be manipulated even more into buying their products, relying on their products, and forget being healthy. You know who pharmaceutical companies really don't like? Guys like me. They don't like guys like me who actually go out there and promote people becoming healthier, happier, and more productive on their own. In fact, that kind of takes away from their customer base. And I'm not saying I'm going to blow up the pharmaceutical industry and take away from their customer base, but if there's one person listening that is actually going to start to make some shifts, make some changes, and says, hey, man, I actually want to get the most out of my life. I really, really do. And realize you're heading for the day somewhere where you're going to wake up and you may be that person that's facing a heart attack 10 years from now, 11 years from now, 13 years from now. You may be that person. You realize that, man, last year I put on about 7 pounds. This year I'm already gained like a couple pounds. If I keep going like this in this 2-year period, I'm going to be up double digits in weight. Well, that can't be good, because obesity now surpasses starvation as well, the number one nutrition healthcare crisis. Think about that. The number one nutrition crisis is no longer starvation, it's obesity. Obesity is the number one comorbidity, which, what is a comorbidity? It is simply saying that when you get sick, it's the number one partner in helping your demise. So that means that people that get sick with obesity have a higher risk of dying. Period. End of story. This is why chronic lifestyle diseases are killing us. It is not lack of medication. It is not, oh man, you should take a Tylenol or an Advil and make sure you take your aspirin a day. Like, these things are ridiculous if you look at them. But yet we've lived in a culture for so long where that drum has been beat for so long that we think anybody that goes against that is absolutely crazy. Like, I'm the heretic, because I know that the body was made to be healthy. I know that the spine and nervous system are the master communication system of the body. I know that you got to fuel your body. I know that you got to move your body. I know that there's a part of your brain that unless you seek discomfort, it shrinks. That's right. There's a part of your brain literally that as you choose things that are difficult will actually grow, and it'll help you be more durable. It is the grit. It is the endurance. It is the toughness part of your brain, and it's neurological. And so I can either sit here and slap down some more sugar, some more caffeine, sugary drinks, whatever it may be, carbs, and just sit here and make sure that I'm comfortable. Or I can get up and choose discomfort, knowing that it's going to help me be stronger in the future. And that's the choices we really all have. When it comes down to it, it's like saying, what am I going to do with what I've been given? I like to think that at the end of my life, I was a good steward. And there's a lot of days where I'm frustrated, I'm beat down, I don't want to keep going. I feel like nobody's listening. Like, I will tell you that as an entrepreneur, as a chiropractor, as running a health center now for 16 years, I feel like most of the time I'm speaking into a giant ass vacuum where I don't even know who's listening. But yet I have to keep saying something, because I get to see the stories every single day I'm in my office of people's lives being better. And my biggest challenge and the things that keep me up at night is like, how do I amplify this? Like, I don't know how to go viral on Instagram. I'm not going to be shaking my booty on TikTok, like none of that stuff, right? And in the world, they're like trying to get attention, and you're like, oh, you got to get customers and all those things. And at the end of it, I just love the look in somebody's eye when they're like, man, I was able to play with my grandkids on the ground this weekend for 2 days. And this happened yesterday. And I asked this individual, I said, well, when was the last time you had two really good days? And they said, I don't even remember the last time. And you see, that's what keeps me going. It's a purpose and not a paycheck. And ultimately, that is my sole desire, is to say, hey, if you are listening to this, like, reach out to someone. Like, how do we start incorporating more natural things into your life and start moving away from the unnatural? Like, your goal shouldn't be on more medications when the average medication, it has 70 side effects. Like, that, nobody wants that. But yet so many people do it because they just don't know. And so that's why we got to keep educating. That's why we got to keep beating the drum and saying, look, it worked for this person. Oh, I know you're suffering with this, but what if you change this? You know, how is your current reality? Like, how are the current choices you're making? How are those working for you? Why aren't they working? Would you like something different? Like, those are the questions we got to ask every day. And so on this one, I just really ask you to share this message if it resonated with you. Hit the share button, comment, let me know you're listening. If your patients, which a lot of patients listen to this, just come in and just be like, hey, that podcast resonated with me, because I want to know what messages are going to reach more people, and I'm going to keep saying them. And you know what? At the end of the day, we can only do what, do our best, right? That's the old saying, just do your best. And so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you today. And I hope this helps your life. I pray it does. And get out there. Let me know what you think. And thanks for listening for this episode of Doctor's Orders.